Good evening, everyone, and welcome. It's Gord Isman here, and we're having another live conversation this evening, and I'm so excited about tonight because we have a special guest that, has incredible skill that I know can help people like me and a lot of us out there, and I can't wait to tell you about her. Her name is Tracy Goodwin. She's an internationally known voice expert. She's been coaching the voices of celebrities, entrepreneurs, and business leaders around the globe for 28 years. I found out about Tracy from hearing about her being at a recent podcast conference called Podcast Movement 2018. And the people that I speak to said that they had an exceptional experience in the lecture that they attended and in meeting Tracy. And then I went through YouTube and explored her content there, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. The psychology of voice, something so fascinating and interesting to me because I'm always wanting to improve and get better. And then I went onto her website and saw all kinds of interesting material and learned so much, and I said, wow, what a great opportunity if I could meet Tracy and have her come on as a guest to help us all in how to gear our voice for success. And with that mentioned, welcome, Tracy.
Thank you, Gord. I'm so glad to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. I'm so happy to see you and have you here with us this evening. And just before we dive in, can anybody in the audience, I see there's Simply Beth here and Michael and Roz, can you just confirm that you can see us and hear us well? That'd be good to know. Okay, so Tracy, one of the things that always challenges, everyone has a story in terms of why they may struggle with voice. Like for me, I know I get all busy in my head. You now help people and serve them to be, a better you, so to speak. What was your story that got you into wanting to do what you do and deliver like such an amazing service to people?
Well, I didn't seek out to be a voice coach. That was not, when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a daddy or a snake. And, and that didn't work out. So the interesting thing is that I was actually raised in a family where I was not allowed to speak. A lot of my generation may be familiar with children are to be seen and not heard. Well, mine was the extreme. And as a result of that, I became a performer. I was an award-winning speaker by the time I was 12 years old because I
Wow.
had found this platform where I could be heard. Still not planning to be a voice coach. Went on and became an actor, became a director. And I had had some events occur in my college career that made my voice sound like this. I was put in this extreme voice training in college. Well, all of that was just setting the stage for me to fulfill this purpose. While I was acting, while I was directing, people were finding me to coach them with their voices. And it was something I was really gifted at. I wouldn't even know until my late 30s how gifted, but it was just something that fell into my lap and I was running from it, Gord, because I kept thinking, how can this be my purpose when I was raised in a family where I wasn't allowed to speak? But that was part of the whole story. So I loved it. I was good at it. And then I finally I didn't want to act anymore. I didn't want to direct anymore. I
Wow.
wanted to alleviate the suffering for people that couldn't find their voices.
That's amazing because I often think about it that way. What I'm doing with my purpose now, and I think about what challenges I'm working through to overcome on my journey, and then I go, wow, I discovered these things, I learned them, I've become pretty good at it, and I go, wouldn't it be cool to be able to share that and how you mastered something to be able
Yeah.
to help others? And I think like that's one of the ultimate callings to know that you've gone through a special journey that you can help people to be amazing on the other side, kind of thing.
Oh, for sure. And it's all exactly as it should be, because if I hadn't lived that life, if I hadn't had those experiences, I probably wouldn't have studied with those masters who wouldn't have been the core of the foundation of the work that I've been able to create and help
Hmm.
people with the last 28 years. So, there's no sadness, there's no regret. I just sit back in awe at the journey,
Yeah.
and what I'm able to do today because of my journey,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, can you share with us what kind of clients that you have? Like, what kind of people seek out your services? And like I'm a YouTuber, and I would think lots of YouTubers, but obviously you're in LA, so you have like actors there and all kinds of people. Can you share with us the kind of clientele that you
Yeah.
service and help? What kind of problems they have?
Yeah, sure. I think that's the first thought, the first response when you hear, "Oh, she's a voice coach," you first think about actors. And in the early years of my career, it was probably 80-20,
Mhm.
80% actors, 20% business people. But it didn't take very long for it to balance out because through my programs, through my work, through my research, through the psychology of the voice, I learned very quickly that it wasn't just actors
Mhm.
that needed voice support. It wasn't just actors. That was a special part of the niche, but it was the business people and the YouTuber, the video. Well, YouTube was just coming out when I started in this industry, but YouTubers, podcasters, any single person that uses their voice, this is who I serve. And I've got, I hate that question, who's your target market? Well, I can't answer that because I've got scientists and I've got mid-level managers and I've got YouTubers and I've got celebrities and podcasters, and I've worked with just about every industry you can imagine. So really there is no limit to who I can serve and who I can help,
Mhm. That's great. I mean, everybody has to speak and talk, and we engage and communicate and connect. So I can't see where it isn't applicable to want to get to at least a level that where we're at peace for in our own skin. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm always in the head, so you're going to hear
yeah.
things like that. So what I was curious to know is what are the kinds of things that really hold someone back from finding their true voice? And I just want to share an example or two with me so that you can sort of relate to that in expression, and then give us other examples. So for me, when I first started and put myself in front of the camera, at first I didn't work with scripts, except that I had like script or outline, and I would read it, memorize it, try to get every little detail, not fall off what I was going to communicate, and then I get ready to and I'd press record on the camera, and like my head's going, okay, I got the first line, the next line's queued up. Oh my God, I think I forgot like how that sentence ends. And then the third one comes, and then I'll start with some of what I'm going to say, and then I could go blank. And it would take several iterations for me to get there. But I felt I had to be scripted because I want to get all the content in. And for being a YouTuber, you want to have, you want to get it all in, you want to get all the value in, you feel time pressured, you got to hook them. And, so that's me as an example, being all in my head in certain ways. So what are some of the things that are the holdups, not so much, which I guess is getting into the psychology, and we all bring different things to the table, right?
Yeah, and I can for sure talk about the psychology of the voice and would love to talk about that. But what I heard you say is something that I hear from so many people. I love that you said hook them.
Yeah.
My research and the scientifics, the big researchers, they will say 90 seconds, that's all you've got. My research can prove to you you are going to make me feel with your voice, not your words. Now, see, everybody that
Wow.
comes to me, and I think the biggest thing that I deal with in people, we think about voice coach. Does she make us go? Well, no, no, because I'm going to start with the fact that you're analytical. You're a perfection. I'm not saying you.
I
I'm saying
am. I am.
what are you
Every
perfectionist too?
Yep,
Okay, okay,
all of
all
the
right. So
above.
check them off the list.
Yep.
Analytical, perfectionist, people pleaser. So here's the biggest takeaway probably from this whole thing. Well, maybe I don't know. Hopefully, I'll drop a lot more nuggets. The
Yeah.
words are everything, and they are nothing.
Mhm.
It's how you bring them to life that has the power to change me. Because, see, Here's where everybody gets it wrong. And it's like we took a class in third grade or something. The words are up here.
Mm-hmm.
The message is in your heart.
Right.
Voice is the orchestra of the heart. So when you go up here, I got to get these words right because these words are important and these words are going to cut this deal and the words are going to get me the money and the words will never, ever make me feel. It's when you tap into your heart and your message that your mind, your body, and your voice are connected. And then you'll bring those words to life. And that makes me feel. And I go, yep, I like him. Want to see what he has to offer.
Does this relate to what they call the heart-mind connection? Like you often hear people say your emotions, it's when your emotions come from the heart and then they connect with your mind. And I know when they talk a lot about things like, I think it's like subconscious programming and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you can really get that heart resonance and that emotion, it's like things become real at another level for developing the habits and performing, right?
Oh,
Does
I
that
think
make sense?
so.
Yeah.
I definitely think so for sure. I know that in my work, especially in my work about voice masks, emotions drive what we do in the voice. Everything is put into the muscle memory of the voice. But like I'll have people come to me and they'll say, "Hey, Tracy, I think I'm repelling people. My business is struggling. I think I'm repelling people." I listen to them for 1 minute and I say, "What are you trying to prove, man? I hear it all over your voice."
Yeah.
Well, see, that's that emotion. And our whole psychology of the voice story is put into our muscle memory. And then we're out there delivering and we're knowing something's not right. But
Yeah,
people don't really think about it like this, right?
it's interesting. Well, I'll comment in a sec, but first I want to say thank you so much, Michael Daniels, for that super chat. And I really appreciate it. Michael is a great guy. He's the one that also taught me how to make these beautiful looking shows in OBS, and I really appreciate his skill. He's something else, and he's got a lot of great skill. And there's Simply Beth and Roz, and there's Brad Freeman. Welcome, Brad. Nice to see you here. So can you just say again what you said at the end? Because I had a special point to make, and I apologize for interrupting. Okay.
Oh man, I'm so in the zone.
Okay. Yeah. So
about the muscle memory.
Yeah, about the muscle memory. So
yeah.
So is that why when I sit there and, for example, I want to say something and I know I want to say it a certain way, and I'll start to say it like 4 or 5 times, and 4 of the 5 times sound the exact same, and I don't know how to change it, and this comes out often. I feel a pressure when I'm doing my 1 minute long intro or 30-second long intro on YouTube to talk at a certain cadence, because people will get bored. And then when I start to get to that certain kind of cadence, I start to come off with a certain kind of like speed thing going on, and it just doesn't feel natural. And then I feel, well, if I try to slow it up, they're gone. And I'm just sharing with you because so many viewers that watch YouTube stuff, they'll go and they'll click playback speed 1.25 or 1.5, and I go, I know from my understanding, like you're sharing with us, how your tonality, your vocal variance, and some of these variables all come into play. But when you start putting these things on fast speed, I'm like conditioning, like I'm getting conditioned to try and consume things at a faster speed just because I want more and more. Not because, but I'm wondering about how that applies to retention and why it's important to listen to things at proper speed and get that emotion.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I hear this, and I even get this comment a lot on my YouTube channel. I use fast, Tracy, to keep their attention. Okay, so here's the truth. Fast will never, ever, ever, ever get you the result that you want, which is for me to stay with you. And a lot of people choose that as a go-to. So fast is not, we have to have all 5 elements, and I'm happy to talk about that. But I want to address that great comment that you made about, in my head it sounds so good, and then I put it out. And this is so powerful. First of all, perception and reception. Your subconscious mind
Right.
is trying to protect your heart. So your subconscious mind has laid in a voice for many, many
Hmm.
people that kind of sounds like this. It's not all that interesting. Subconscious mind did that. And you're up in your head because you're smart and you're going, ah, that sounds pretty good. And then you listen back and it's like, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
Perception and reception is
Mm.
the issue here, right? And so you can't think your in the way I coach voices, you can't think your way into it. We've got to shift what's in that muscle memory. So if in the muscle memory is going fast because I always go fast because I got to keep their attention going fast, then we've got to lay in some other elements. We don't have to take fast away,
Hmm.
but you've got to have all the elements, because the number one question people ask me, well, there's two questions. Can you make me confident? Can you teach me how to captivate the room? Captivating the room
Mm.
is simply about being unpredictable, using vocal variety in an unpredictable way, because that's what takes me on a voice journey.
This is
That's what touches my emotions.
okay. So this is very interesting because this is one of the questions I was going to ask a little later, but I'm going to ask it now because of the
Sure.
timing. And that is, I'm in front of a webcam right now. I'm not in front of a room. I'm not in a small crowd. Should we actually be doing anything different depending on the situation? Because you say captivate the room, I immediately think of public speaking, and I'm on a
Mm.
stage or a podium and I'm trying to do something that involves all this kind of body language and presence and execution from almost from an acting standpoint, I'll call it, from the standpoint of physical interaction or connection. But when I'm here on the camera, sometimes I don't think as much about that, but I'm realizing more and more, like, I know I've come a long way in my physicality in the way I'm communicating, and that took a while. But is there a difference in terms of how one should deliver based on what the environment is?
That's a great question. And my response is no, because what we want to create is we want to create you revealing the
Mm-hmm.
best version of you.
Ah.
And I want to do that when you're on a stage. I want to do it when you're in front of a video where you're taking me on a journey, you're revealing a message, we're able to connect, you
Mm-hmm.
speak with confidence, you fill the space. You would want to do all of that on video as well. And for a lot of people, maybe not so much YouTubers, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe, I don't know. I have a lot of people that come to me and they're okay live, but they hit video and they just tank.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so the vocal energy drops, and it's just weird for a lot of
Oh,
people
yeah.
that I work with.
Oh, actually, I've heard that you need to project. I guess consciously, you actually need to project a lot more when you're just in front of a camera with the inanimate object without a person being there, because your
Well,
energy level's just not
yeah.
sensing what you need to project. Is that
Yeah, it's a vocal energy issue to me. It's
yeah.
not necessarily like when I think of projection, I think of being louder maybe, but it's a vocal energy thing. It's tapping in to your highest level of vocal energy. But then within that, for everybody, even in conversations, even in a boardroom, utilizing the journey, the elements of vocal variety. I mean, you want to talk about make more money?
Mhm.
You need to be working on your voice, because your voice has the power to compel me to take action or not,
Right. And
right?
this is a great segue into one of the other questions I wanted to ask, and that is about confidence, because to me, what you're talking about is confidence. And if people can't see that in you and they see a lot of apprehension, hesitancy, they may think, well, do they really know their stuff? And so how
Totally.
important is that power of confidence in the voice? And if you can speak to the psychology aspect of it, what would cause someone to get up there, and I guess you can imitate being a mouse with no confidence on a voice or something.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
what happens to people that like, it's like sticking a pin in a balloon sometimes, like
Right.
it's just not there.
Well, confidence is huge, and I want to talk about that. I want to say something else though. You said some great stuff, and I want to address one thing, and then I can talk about confidence. We subconsciously process every single sound that comes out of, people. Like, I can identify it. That's actually the gift I figured out that
Wow.
I had, that I can say, okay, you're doing this, and that's being processed as doubt. Why are you asking permission? So we process subconsciously every sound in
Wow.
every voice. So this leads into this confidence. If you're not, if you're up there doing this, and we're, this is a perfect example. Worked with a gal. She was, kind of doing like this. Her vocal mask was people pleasing, and so she wanted to make sure get it right. She wasn't being perceived. She wasn't being processed with passion. She was losing jobs because they wanted somebody with passion. She was the most passionate person I'd ever met. So her
Wow.
voice was costing her money. So when we talk about confidence, this is and we started the show with this today. The number one problem, people get all up in their head, and I got to get these words right. And so as soon as you go up in your head, remember your voice can't work. But if I get these words right, then surely I'll sound good. Surely they'll like me. So confidence is about owning the message. Confidence is about, and this is something I teach my people in my courses and when I work with people privately, you got to stay in the now. You're focusing on that time back in 7th grade when you said that thing and your voice cracked and the girl laughed, or you're thinking about what they could think. When you go either of those places, you're not owning your message. You're not filling the space and saying,
Right.
you know what? I believe in this stuff that I'm talking about, Gord. You can think I'm crazy, but I'm owning this message. Does
So,
that
yeah.
answer your question?
Yeah, it does. So what about the people, and I'm going to get to some comments in a moment I want to share.
Great.
What about the term fake it till you make it? I mean, I'm sure you've heard that. Like, to me, that means, well, there's a couple elements there I want to mention. One is sometimes people just didn't get an opportunity to prepare well, and they have to go on and they got to do their thing. And like that, I think could affect their confidence in their performance. But there are other people that get up there, but I guess you could sniff that out a mile away, right?
Oh, yeah. And that's a massive voice barrier. And so voice barriers are like bulletproof glass. I always live in big cities. The banks have bulletproof glass, right?
Yeah.
So I can see the teller, I can hear the teller, but I cannot embrace the teller. So there are so many people, and I don't mean to criticize, but there's so many people that they're going into on. And as soon as you go into on, what happens? All of a sudden, it's like, you can't touch me anymore. I'm behind bulletproof glass. I've got great vocal energy, but I'm not letting you in. Okay.
Right.
So I don't like fake it till you make it. I like, when I work with people that are really struggling with confidence, which is a lot of my people, let's be as if you were that person. Who is that person? Let's be as if.
Yeah.
I've had people shaking in their boots to go in and talk to the boss. And I say, we're going to be as if. And I give a lot of techniques and tools, but you're going to be as if you were confident, as if you owned the message, as if they were going to receive it well, because we're in the future is they're going to receive it badly, but we're not in the future. We're in the now.
Yeah.
I like to take people back to their best version of who they were before the world got in the way and said, nobody likes what you have to say. Hey, shut up. Nobody's talking to you. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. That's the psychology of the voice.
Right.
So get you back to who you were before the world stopped shutting you down, you've got everything you need. And then you can just be as if. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and this reminds me very much. I've studied and gone to like Jack Canfield's programs, Breakthrough to Success, and he has an experience at the end where you actually come to a party pretending you're 5 years down the road in that role, and you're supposed to act as if for that whole evening, for you to get a taste and a feel, and that I guess it helps also with your programming, to get that confidence, so that when you're in the now, and you're automatically building towards it automatically by being that way, as opposed to it being a performance.
Yeah, because performance is I'm going to talk at you. I'm talking at you. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
want that. I want you to talk to me. I want you to reveal who you are. Connect to that message, connect to that passion. And then we start dancing into vulnerability, which is part of why the subconscious mind shut it down and made it where we talk like this, because this is way safer. If I'm like this, then you can't criticize me. But see, that's the trick. Right? That is where the criticism comes in. So the thing you put in place to
Hmm.
get the result you want is keeping you from getting the result you want.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a peek at some of our comments
Yeah.
and catch up here. So Brad said he enjoyed you at I think it was Podcast Movement, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken. Brad, maybe you actually met him, but he says
I
you're
think so.
yeah, his experience in I'm just trying to find that comment
Hey,
because
Brad, thanks.
um yeah, this is me trying to catch up. It says, "Hi Tracy, I saw you speak at Podcast Movement. By far, you were my favorite speaker of the
Oh,
entire conference. Content
whoa.
and delivery, absolutely outstanding." Well, there,
Oh, thank you
it's
so
very nice,
much,
Brad.
Brad.
Yeah,
I took you on a voice journey, I guess.
yeah. And then Roz was mentioning here, when talking from your passion and what you yourself are interested in, the complete you is in the voice and the body moves and animation. So I guess that's a messaging about if it's really coming from the heart. Isn't that what you mean by when you refer to passion and that being present?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
It's tapping into the message, not relying on the words. And even if people use scripts, tapping into the message and releasing the grip on the words is what becomes so important.
mm-hmm. Roz mentioned here what she often gets annoyed by people's overuse of hand gestures and movement.
Okay.
So what is your thought about I've heard people say like lock those hands down and like have them out of screen, and then you have the people like me that like to use my hands a bit in the conversation, and I almost feel like I need some kind of movement for my
Yeah.
natural body to connect in the communication.
So let me tell you what my years of experience says that is. The voice needs to flow out of, like, I liken it to a pipeline. It needs
Mm-hmm.
to flow out. And our subconscious mind has locked our sound down in our throat, in our jaw. A lot of times for people, nasality, it's locked,
Mm-hmm.
trying to keep the sound from flowing out. So I did a research project, because I research everything. I'm just like that. I geek out on this stuff. My research showed me that when people do a lot of this, what they're really doing is that's their voice trying to come out of their body, because when
Mm.
it comes out of their mouth, the subconscious mind knows that it is the most vulnerable place. So this is what I suggest on this, and I do this with some of my people.
Mm.
In that particular case, like I mentioned fast earlier, we don't necessarily have to take fast away. We have to balance it out. If the voice, we have to get the voice unstuck and flowing straight out.
Right.
So I would completely remove those hand gestures, which will force the sound to flow out better. It won't fix all the problems. We're not going to go into that tonight anyway, but it will ground you, and then you can put them back in, and then they support your voice rather than try to pull your voice out through them. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
Okay.
I heard you earlier talk about what is it, body, mind, and heart, is I
Yeah.
guess that trio. So can you explain the connection and in the sense of what is one trying to achieve if they're working on voice? Like how is that supposed to come together or work together?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's mind, body, voice. The mind, the body, and the voice must be connected. So people that go up in their head, they're up in their head. They're thinking about their words. I got to get these words right. And they're thinking about a lot of things, really. They're thinking about getting the words right. They're retrieving words and scripts.
Mm-hmm.
They're thinking about what we're thinking about. So they're all up here. If the voice is not trained, if the voice is not connected, when we go up into our head, we disconnect from the body and voice. When we are disconnected from the voice, that's when it falls flat. So I get a lot of people, they say, I flatline, I'm boring. Some of them don't even, some of them think, like you were mentioning, that they're interesting.
Well,
and it's just banana, 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 banana.
Well, in
right?
fact, my first early videos, I felt I'm so monotone and I can't get beyond monotone, and I'm trying to do with a few things here and there, and it's just like, oh my God, like what is it? And I know I'm all in my head.
All in your head. And you probably were in your head, and then you're in your head going, why am I so monotone?
Exactly.
So monotone, right? So again, it goes back to that, what we put in place. So if the message is in our heart and we are tapped into the message, we're connecting mind and body, and then the voice is automatically going to be in the picture. Because if I'm really, I could talk to you about voice and how much I love voice, and I'm up in my head talking about voice, then I can tap into my message, which is, I really want to share with the listeners just how much voice can change their lives.
Yeah.
My voice just works.
Yeah. Well, this is getting into the point you mentioned earlier, which is about being in the now. And if you can actually focus and be in the now, and to me, what's ironic or interesting, I started doing these interviews and I got a thirst for it, and I'm very introverted by nature. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to carry an interview? And then it's like, oh, I just did an hour and 40 minutes with Nick Nimmin. I did 2.5 hours with Todd and an hour and 40 minutes with Owen. And I'm going like, how do I manage to be out there so long? And what I find is when I watch the replays, I'm so happy with my performance. And what I realized was I allowed myself to get into a conversation. I kind of let go of my notes and the perfection of the scripting, other than when I occasionally needed to look over to be sure that I had something next if I felt that I was, out of place. And I allowed myself to be more present. And it's like, wow, it's so much easier when you're actually making the effort to be present in the conversation, rather than, oh, here, what's next on my list? And I'm like, because that's my nature, perfectionist. I don't want to miss a question. I don't want to miss a detail. And I got to be sure, we're here with Tracy, and every ounce of gold nugget can come out that I can share. Right.
Yeah, it's, I love and it's tiny little things. There's so many tiny little things that I love to shift for people that change everything. And I love the example of a question. And this is why it's so wonderful for you, those interviews. You're in the now, you're in the moment. I see people doing their videos and they're asking questions. You want to make more money? Because I can show you how to make more money. Hold on a minute. I just processed that as you don't care about me. Now, I don't know that. Now I do, but the listener doesn't know that. But then they're going, I don't know if I want to work with that guy. Where if that guy had just simply asked that question, even though he's not going to get an answer because he's on a video, who's watching, we don't know. You want to make more money?
Yeah.
Because I can show you how to make more money.
Yeah. It's so interesting.
Changes everything.
Because you just said that, now it makes a lot more sense why it's so much more difficult when you're just looking at the plastic housing a webcam, trying to be in the moment with something that has no reaction.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And that's what everybody's problem is. I'm not saying everybody, because I know there's tons of people. Honestly, I'm more comfortable on camera than I am in life. I think, but for most of my people, it's nothing short of trauma.
Right.
And it's because it's just strange. And if you know a few techniques, it's just rewriting the story. It's just rewriting the experience. We can change that story like that. It's like if I tried to learn marketing or anything. Well, I'm not gifted that way, but I can learn it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can teach me a few things and I'm like, whoa, that changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But that being in the now and being present and really talking to people
mm-hmm.
rather than at them, changes everything.
Yeah, very cool. So when we talk about me as a perfectionist and analytical, like those are certain characteristics or a way you would profile some people that are, up in their head, as you say. How do you encourage people to let go, to be able to let go of that kind of thing? Because if you're, a left brainer like me, perfectionist type and very analytical, over analytical, overthinking, that's a lot to let go.
It's a lot to let go, but I can get it away. I can get you out from under it,
Okay.
which is that I love all the vocal variety and all that kind of stuff. I love it. But to relieve suffering for a human, because I
Mm.
believe that it can, for a lot of people I've worked with, they've just stopped talking. They've been cut off and shut down so much. They can't get to the next level in their career. But a big part of it is simply rewriting the story and repetitive action, putting something new in the muscle memory, like I've mentioned. Really, I do a little bit of subconscious reprogramming on that.
Right.
Really looking at shifting you out of those words. Letting you have the words at first, but then taking all those words and saying to you, Gord, all those words you just said, that 14-minute video, what's the message? I call it bottom lining it. You
Mm.
get one sentence. And that one sentence can start with, I really need them to understand XYZ. And so it's literally creating a shift. You've done
Mm.
it this way. This is the normal. This is what is in the muscle memory. That doesn't mean that there can't be a new normal. So we shift you out of that death grip on the words. We shift you into the message, into the bottom lining it, and then we give you an opportunity for that to be a success.
So
It's the fear that's keeping you from shifting, because I got to have these words. Because what you perceive without experience is, if I don't have these words, this is going to be horrible. But I can give you proof.
Well, do you know how many retakes I've done where it's like, damn, I missed this one point that I wanted to include. So I'll redo the whole thing again.
Yeah.
Even if it was an amazing performance and it was natural and everything, I'll go, because I missed that one point, I'll make myself do it over. And, I'm getting better at accepting it's not about being perfect and having all 10 points checked off. It's like, did people want to listen to me and stick with me? And then I'll say, okay, you know what? It wasn't perfect, but here's the beauty. With video editing, I sometimes go bonus tip, and I can just toss a message up on the screen, and I've easily covered whatever I may have missed. So there's all kinds of little techniques I've come up with to compensate for missing that. Now,
I want to give you two things on that. Can I give you two things on that? Okay, so first I want to say this, and this is really important for experts like you, for all experts. We don't know what you know. We don't know what you know. So I want to say that and say, if you missed it, we don't know it. But knowing you, I know you want to give all the value. So I want to give you something else, not perfect for this scenario, but for other scenarios. When you mess up, if you ever mess up, I want to tell you the greatest compliments I ever got in my entire career were when I was a college professor, and the students would come up to me and they'd say, they called me Miss G, and they would come up and they'd say, you know what we love about you, Miss G? And I would always respond, that I'm funny. And they would always say, you're not funny, Miss G. But what we love about you is that you tell us when you screw up.
Right.
And I think for a lot of people, even that permission slip to go, hold on a minute, I got to rephrase that. Let me rephrase that for you. That is what made me human. And people, they loved it. That was of all the things I can teach and do, they loved it when I messed up.
Yeah.
And would say, oh, hold on a minute, I need to rephrase that. I said that wrong. Let me fix that for you. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And it makes me think that the concept of being a perfectionist is only your own perception in your own head is what part of that message is to me. And and once you realize that, you go, but I also think about competition, how I'm thinking that I'm delivering and value.
Future.
What's that?
That's future.
That's future.
Competition.
Right.
That's future.
So
You gotta
all of
get
those
back in
things
that
start
now.
to
Yeah.
play when
Yeah,
I
of
can't
course.
check off my list that I did it all, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Now,
You and everybody. You and everybody
okay, then that's fair.
thinking that.
I don't
Yeah.
feel so alone now.
No, are you kidding me? 28 years worth of thousands of people, and this is where we start. No,
Yeah.
no. And I'm not immune either.
Yeah.
I got my own things I'm working on. That's just human nature.
Sorry about
That's
that. Yeah.
just human nature. So, all right. Now
So
I've derailed you so much.
no,
Go
I
ahead.
had an interesting question I wanted
Yeah.
to follow on with, because you keep saying the word muscle memory. Can you correlate that to subconscious programming, and also, simply, Beth mentions here, cognitive behavioral theory? So can you just maybe give us an understanding of the positioning, or what those different terms mean in the in the construct of what we're talking about?
Yeah, well, I can definitely talk to muscle memory. I'm one of those that, and I think it comes from my own story. If I can't give you a confirmed, researched answer, I might not dance into that territory. So
Okay.
let me talk muscle memory, and then let's see if we need some kind of follow up on it. When I was in my early career, one of the biggest things that I worked on was teaching actors accents and removing accents from business people.
Wow.
And in that, my original training, I got to study under one of the greatest masters of I believe, the greatest voice coach of all time. And his theory was placement theory. And I used that in this dialect work. And one day I sat down and I thought, well, why is it that the Irish sound Irish? And I'm from Texas, and I don't sound like them. They sound cool. And then I got to studying this and researching this, and I linked that with what I kept seeing in front of me. And what I kept seeing in front of me were sounds that were stuck, sounds that weren't flowing out, sounds that were like this. And I thought, okay, so accents come from the subconscious mind. When we're born, the subconscious mind says, all right, you've got to fit in. So we're going to hold your face. I'm going to teach you to hold your face in a certain way. Like, I could become Irish right now. I could shift my placement. That's how you're going to sound Irish. You're Texan, we're going to set it this way. And I got to thinking, as I did the work on, everybody had been shut down early in life with a shut up, nobody wants to hear you, something. And I put it together that the subconscious mind did exactly the same thing as it did when it built an accent. You were loud and you were this, and mom said, shut up. Nobody wants to hear that noise right now. And the subconscious went, we're going to talk like this from now on. And then the next thing you know, you're 40 and you're sitting in front of me and you're going, I don't know why I can't get ahead. I don't know why people can't understand what I say. Well, because when you were 5, your subconscious mind set to protect you, put it in the muscle memory, the way you hold your face, you didn't even know it. So that's why that perception reception is a problem. It sounds so good up in your head, but what is here is play it safe. Don't do that. We got to play it safe, because you can't get yelled at again. So so your muscles, I run people through exercises, their face starts to hurt. Unused muscles.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's
I've often thought, is this just because I don't know, you called it, I think I heard you use the word gym for the face.
Gym for the face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's frustrating for smart people like you, intelligent people. They're successful and they can't figure this out. Every one of them, by the time they get to my door, has tried everything, and it still sounds great in their mind, and it's still not flowing out. And it's because they haven't rewritten the voice story in the muscle memory. And that's what we do. And it's gym for the face.
So, when people work with you, how do they have to, is there a lot of practice involved on their end? I compare it to, you think about, takes so many days to get a new habit, and a lot of it's because you're working on reprogramming your subconscious mind by the repetitiveness of the habit before it gets embedded and takes a hold, and a lot of people give up. And so how does that aspect relate to what you teach in people developing things for their voice?
such a great question. And I'm really, I get a little committed to what I believe. And this is one of these questions. I believe that while everybody pretty much comes to me with the same two questions, every voice is different. And
Mm,
every voice has to be approached differently, even if it's in a group setting. Every voice, what's going to unstick your voice may not unstick the guy next to you's voice. So, you know, I don't believe it's about length of practice. I believe it's about laser targeting the
mm,
exact thing you need. And if I write you a custom exercise, you're going to practice 10 minutes a day, and
right.
that's it, maybe 15 minutes. And what my study is shows me is that if you will practice pretty much daily, now you can miss a day here or there, with that laser targeted coaching, in less than 6 weeks will completely change your voice.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a 3 month. You don't, I love you, but you don't stay with me for half a year, you know.
Well,
Um,
I think it's kind of welcoming to know that if you do put in a certain degree of effort,
yeah,
that it's not it's going to take years to get there,
no,
kind of thing. You know what I mean?
no.
So I think
I don't
that
subscribe to that. No,
yeah,
I don't subscribe to that. I believe that, if you're doing the right thing, I mean, people can see shifts in a week. Just like if you go to the gym, are you going to lose the 40 pounds in the first week? No, but are you going to feel it? Are
hmm
things going to start shifting? Yeah.
hmm So I'm a person that I deliver my intro and my outro through script reading on a teleprompter, through split glass. I'm looking right in the camera. I've learned pretty much to be able to do this and that and read it through my peripheral vision because I'm literally just a couple of feet from the teleprompter.
Yeah.
Now, I know that although I'm good at it, it's not the same thing as being natural, but I know that security blanket and being able to ensure that I have that tight beginning and tight ending just makes me feel great. I wish I could just put the paper down and the teleprompter and go without that, just like maybe looking at a few outline message points before I press record to look into the camera lens. But it's like, oh my God, I got to get the recording done. I just finished my tutorial. It took all of this time to do that. I got to edit it. I'm just like buzzing with all the elements that I need to get done. And I actually, the interesting part is, and it's only the intro and the outros that I'm doing in front of the camera with the teleprompter. I then do my lesson, which is all like a choreographed example and tutorial how-to thing. But when it comes to like getting there to press the record and being on the teleprompter, using the teleprompter, it's such a security blanket for me. I almost don't want to. So I've worked hard at getting really good at peripheral reading and natural eye movement. So do you believe that scripting should not be required, or should it be used at all, this kind of solution, or it'll just take away a bit from the performance? Like people that do scientific stuff or need to quote facts and stats and different things, like, I mean, you can't just sit there unless you've got this masterful memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much to say on this. And
Mm,
again, I have very definite beliefs about, and they've morphed over the years. But I want to address this a couple of ways, because I think it's
sure.
really probably beneficial for your audience, because I know probably a lot of them are on script. I do believe that scripts are crutches. Everybody shows up at my door, and I've got big number guys. I've got CEO number guys. I've got people that build things, semiconductors and NASA, and big stuff, big words, right?
Sure.
They walk in the door with the death. They don't walk in the door because I work with everybody online, but they have
Right.
the death grip on the script.
Right.
And they're like, "You're not taking this away from me, are you?" And I always say, "No, not today."
Not
Right?
today.
Okay. So I want to address the getting rid of the script, and then I want to address the dealing with the script. I used to be no scripts, no scripts, right? I've morphed. Now, the interesting thing is, I learned in my early years of career how to bring a script to life like
Mm,
nobody's business overnight, not with months and months and months of work. So I know how to direct you in both ways, right? And I am, this is what I believe about it. I don't believe it's a problem unless it's a problem. Now, if going into a script creates a disconnect vocally, which is generally the problem, then it's a problem because it's your first 90 seconds, it's your first 30 seconds. So I want to give you something to start playing with, getting away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And that you kind of danced with it, you kind of mentioned it. I would take that script if you were working with me, and I would say 3 points, 3 words. You are the expert. You just have your subconscious mind tricking you into believing you're not. You're telling yourself stories, right? I got to get this perfect. I got it. That's all stories. That's all interpretation. I can say to you, I know you're the expert. Give me 3 words. And if you weren't in the pressure zone, you could write down 3 words. And I would say to you, do your intro. And there's your net. When you need it, you look at those 3 words and they will be your trigger for the words that you need.
Well, that's almost feels like starvation. 3 words.
I know. So then we can say,
you have to have training wheels for a while, right?
I know, right. Okay, so you've got the script. I have not used a teleprompter in many years. I used an audio prompter for a lot of my work. I haven't used a teleprompter in a lot of years, but there is a wonderful, well, obviously my number one goal is if these elements of vocal variety are in, you can't draw on something that's not there. So if they are there and you can draw them up and you can be the conductor of that orchestra, then you can use that. You could read a book. I could read the phone book if I can infuse it with vocal variety,
right?
If I can conduct the orchestra with it. So that, if you're not quite ready to let the script go, then it becomes about knowing how to bring it to life, just like that.
And I think I try to do exactly what you've described there. And
Yeah.
I was not able to do it with the majority of the teleprompters till this one app called Prompt Smart Pro came out for iOS devices. It's voice activated. I have no pressure to go forward. I could casually say a point, get the meaning from the heart. I can pause. I can vary my vocal, and it's there waiting for me. It moves when I move. And that made the biggest difference. When I was on these ones where it's like, speed it up, slow it down, my head's going like, where am I? I'm trying to track it. And then it becomes, I'm reading
because you're going up in your head.
Yeah.
Because reading is retrieval. Reading is retrieval. And the minute you go into retrieval, what happens to the voice? All of a sudden it's like this. Or you have a go-to, like, fast. If you're getting on a teleprompter and you got to go to a fast, put on the brake, bro, because we're not connecting with you.
Yeah. And I've experimented with it all. I go like, okay, I got 2 minutes of info here and I got to deliver it in 40 seconds. And I'm talking at 100 miles an hour and I'm trying to do this and tell you that it's all great and it's all going to work out and you're going to learn everything you need to know. And I go like, oh my God, I just sound like a machine.
Yeah,
and then I go,
it is.
And I go, oh, I don't even like it, right? But then, that's when I was trying to play with cadence and get a feel for that. I like this question Brad put in recently. He says, can people at any age learn to change their voice? Can you teach an old dog new tricks?
Oh, great question, Brad. And I got to tell you about this delightful man that I worked with a year or two ago, 72. And his biggest issue was breathing. He would talk like this, and it was a lot of work. And I loved working with him. And every single week, he made massive progress.
Wow.
The thing about it is, and this is what I love it when young people come and work with me. I work with all ages, but I especially get excited when I get a 24-year-old or a 28-year-old who's showing up, because we're fixing it now. It can be fixed at any age. And it's like, I talked to somebody earlier and they said, I started to call you 2 years ago. And I didn't say it, but in my heart, I was like, I wish you see nothing changed in those 2 years.
Yeah. I think
it doesn't matter.
The age factor only comes in, I think, in that it may take us a little longer to let go because we have more go-to baggage subconsciously, for lack of a better word, and my younger counterparts, it's like, okay, they get it and they're on, you know what I mean? Because they're not thinking about all kinds of other issues that make them want to hold on to that old habit, right? So That's why
Yeah.
I keep an open mind, and I
Yeah.
accept that, you know what? I'm determined to get there. So chill. If it takes me a little longer, that's okay. I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
stress over that. And I think
Yeah.
that's very helpful. And let me see. There's any other interesting questions that we're still waiting that we didn't address. Oh, so Launchpad Astronomy. It's Prompt Smart Pro, the name of the application, not Voice Prompt Pro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and I don't know if you know this, Tracy, but on smartphones now, you can literally have
Yeah.
teleprompters that will go like on the left side, and you'll be able to literally like look in the almost like look right in the lens on your
Yeah.
smartphone and be able to do the teleprompter read. It's truly remarkable.
It's remarkable. I've seen people talk about that, and I just think that's extraordinary.
Yeah, and can we just touch on fears for a bit, and you know because you talk about psychology of the voice. So do you actually like have to go back historically to have people dig things up, or it's the psychology is just to like be able to identify the nature of the fear so that you then use a technique, and then associated with that, when you said you laser focus, or I'll call it laser surgery, to find out to apply, like you may have to test, I would guess, a number of techniques sometimes with someone before you find something that hits.
Yeah, and again, great question. No, I don't have to know. It's always
Mm.
extraordinary when I work with people, and I'll be saying something, I'll be tweaking something, and they'll go, "Oh my gosh, when I was in high school," and it'll come. The fascinating thing is that the memory is linked into what's locked into the muscle memory. And that's how so much of the expansion and transformation that I didn't even set this up as happens, because when we release that muscle memory hold, the issue goes with it. But yes, it's absolutely about, if I say, okay, Gord, and I don't know it because I'm not listening with my listening ear, but if I said, I think your sound's stuck in the back of your throat, I want you to try this. Okay. I want you to try this. Okay. Oh, did you hear that? I will hear the
Mm.
shift. That's how I get results so fast, because I
Right.
hear the outcome. I know exactly. That's why we don't waste time. It's not step one. It's okay. I heard what I wanted. I know what we're going for with that particular technique. Let's implement that. And that's going to shift it like that.
Mm. Very fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
I'm curious, what differentiates someone that can get on the stage and deliver a TEDx style speech? I mean, I see things like incredible ability to pause, have a presence of authority, have a certain coolness about them, and their storytelling ability. So, do you have people that prepare for those kinds of things? And is it possible that any of us get to that level?
Absolutely. My whole program, my whole process, while it's psychology of the voice is standalone and different anyway, for me, this is about next level. And I believe I've got people doing extraordinary things. I just got an email yesterday from a gal who worked with me over the summer. And when she first came to me, I said, I think you need to be doing presentations. You've got amazing content. And she was like, that is never going to happen. Terrified. I got an email from her yesterday with some footage of her first
Wow,
presentation, and
that's
she
awesome.
just knocked it out of the park. So I believe that so much of this, I believe that all the interesting sounding stuff, that's easy to teach. That's the easy part of my job. Really, all of it's easy, but we start with shifting the core, shifting the story. And you mentioned fear. That's like the first step I take with people a lot, because that's not fear of speaking, that's fear of judgment. And I
Mm.
can get you past that, because everybody's afraid of judgment. And that's just literally a reframe. That's a
Wow.
reframe. And then I give you a new tool, and then you put something out there, you put a different product out, and you get a different result back. And then you've got proof that I was right. And then you're gone. You're off to the races. I
Wow.
just give proof.
That's
Does that
amazing.
make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. So, it it's not about having to dig deep into the past. I mean,
No.
and like, I guess what you're saying is, when you say stories, like, everybody comes with their stories as to why they are the way they are, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's almost like
Yeah.
it's almost like a form of excuse for why they aren't where they want to be. and
Yeah.
and and so you help them identify what those things are, that trigger them to perform the way they are, right? and
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Everybody's got a psychology of the voice story.
yeah,
Mine was pretty intense, but it literally, my research shows one time
yeah,
somebody telling you to shut up. And then think about our lives, neighbors and bosses and relationships, and that guy in the cubicle next to us. It never stops. Ding, ding. I call them dings. And when people get to me, they've got a ding box and a victory box, and they're so focused on the dings that I just simply shift their focus and get them focused on the victories. And then when they put a different product out, when they have the proof, that's a big part of where that confidence comes from,
yeah, that
because they're getting a different response.
yeah. This reminds me, and this may be just an aside, but I remember asking Jack Canfield. I said, a lot of people do things and they don't have the formalized certification or experience that academia offers out there, yet they may be an incredible talent. And he said to me, he says, it's not about those things that you bring to the table or that you completed. It's, can you produce the result or get the outcome for the client and what you're doing? And when I thought about that, I go, wow. You probably don't want the clients anyways that are sitting there judging you because you don't have what's on their checklist in order for them to work with you. But it's a great way to find that confidence, that peace that you're kind of like describing to
Yeah.
me. That's why I'm saying that, is
Yeah.
because it's a matter of how you frame it, right?
For sure. And I think that when it comes to voice, people work in what I call tentacles out. Do they like me? What are they thinking? We got to, grabbing out and let me be this and let me be that. And I'm going to play it cool until I know how no, we got to
Mm.
bring those tentacles back in, because here's the truth. Everybody judges everybody.
Yeah.
And my question is, are you going to let people judging you stop you from serving? What's more important? That's how I got past that,
Oh
was
yeah.
because my work and my serving others is way more important than your decimation of me,
Yeah.
because I know
It's
that's just your interpretation anyway.
Yeah, that's almost like a lot of people want to sit and stay and play small because there's
Yeah.
someone out there that's going to judge them. So they never fulfill their dreams because they can't get past the fact that there's others out
It's
there,
fear. Yeah.
and
It's fear of judgment. It's not fear of speaking.
yeah,
If I took that fear, you could come to me and say, I've got a fear of public speaking. Okay, if I could take that fear of judgment away,
yeah,
I wouldn't be able to shut you up.
yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I almost feel like I'm becoming more of that kind of person now
Yeah.
because I'm sitting here and I'm having a conversation. I'm thinking in the now. I'm trying to carry the
Yeah.
conversation forward. And before it was, there's just no way. I need 20 questions detailed out. I still do that preparation because I believe in research to give me the knowledge so I can have an informed conversation. But
Yeah.
it's just so much better when you don't need to have a vice grip on those crutches.
Yeah, because you don't need it. You
Yeah,
just don't realize yet that you don't need it. And
yeah,
that goes back to that having the net, which is the technique, and then getting you some proof.
yeah,
And then it's life changing,
yeah.
you know?
I have a curious question, and this is
Okay.
because I do how-to tutorials on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I already told you about my teleprompter and what I do to intro and outro. And then I may go into anywhere from like a 4 or 5 minute lesson of content and real value to it could be 20 minutes long. And the interesting thing is, in the beginning, I used to so perfectly choreograph, I would do a voiceover and then produce the visual results, although I've already defined the lesson and made it execute. But I would like literally choreograph it, try and choreograph the edit to the voice work of manipulating software. And that got incredibly difficult.
Wow.
Then I
Yeah.
eventually got to the point, I'll call it of surrender, where I go, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to have some ums. I'm going to have some ahs. There's going to be some filler words. But I'm going to carry through how a conversation on how I'm going about doing this. And I've, a lot of people have given me, great compliments. And I remember someone told me, and I'm presuming this is a good thing because the person had a long career on PBS, you're the Bob Ross of video of what I'm doing.
Cool.
So, and I never realized it. So, and I grew up and I didn't realize who he was, but he was that painter that did all the landscape stuff, right? And so it's interesting. So it's almost like your storytelling to do your tutorial. But even though I'm not like really, I'm trying to make a story out of the education of getting from point A to point Z, whatever, in what I'm trying to do in that lesson. And my preparation work prepared me for that. I don't need to go through step by step down the line. And I learned I can do that. So I'm actually able to record those most of the time now in the first take. And the edits are not significant. I end up in the sense of ums, ahs, and those kind of things. The edits are more for zooming, panning, doing stuff that will make the visual experience more interesting. So do you have a comment about that, about people, about, it's not that I'm getting up and it's all fully prepared. I'm actually carrying I'm guiding people through a journey of learning something.
So I'm not exactly sure the question on that.
So I guess, is anything any different when you're doing something like a how-to tutorial, carrying people through a demonstration of software or something versus standing up here and I'm giving you a talk, right?
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Sorry, I should have.
No, it's okay. From a voice perspective, is it no. And that's, that kind of goes almost back to that on versus off. I'm on stage and now I'm, like this when you meet me. It's like when I'll never forget, Lauren Bacall was my favorite actress when I was a little girl. And I remember I just loved her. And then I went to New York and I saw her in a play. And when I saw her come out the backstage door, it shattered my image of what she was on stage. Same kind of thing.
Wow.
I want the best version of you, whether it's a how-to, whether it's a telepromptered spoken intro. I want you to take me on the journey. I want you to reveal who you are, not feel it out and to let me decide who you're going to be. Reveal, like, this is who I am. Like, if you came over to my house this weekend, this is what you're going to get. I mean, some people call me a little dramatic, but this is who I am, right? So I would, it doesn't matter whether it's how to, whether it's, analytical structured numbers. How can you take me on a journey? How can you bring those words to life while you're revealing who you are? Because I'm going to connect to you, not the words.
So this is very interesting. Yes, it does, because it also explains why I'm actually much more comfortable in the flow of that experience than I am in doing my 30-second, 1-minute intro and the outro. And then the core of my content could be 5 to 15, 20 minutes. And I'm much more comfortable delivering that than I am doing the other stuff where I know it's the hook. It has to be zippy. It has to be, if I can find a way to be entertaining and those kind of things. And that's another whole, I guess, kettle of fish, like people thinking, that they're going to try to be the humor side of things. That's got to be
And anytime we start to try, I think humor is a great example, and I use humor a lot in my teaching. When I was an actress, I was a comedy actress, and it would be like trying to make the joke work. It would never work. It's like, I'll tell you another thing, and let's see if you've experienced this: recreating a good one. Oh, it was so good yesterday. I'm going to recreate that. All of that is going back up in your head.
Right.
So all of it goes back down to Let me just be in the now. Let me just reveal how excited I am about this, or let me reveal how angry I am about this, or let me reveal I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Whatever,
Sure.
then we can connect.
Yeah. I like Simply Beth's now said this to me a few times. She says, Gord, you had me at hello.
Aw, that's great. That's
Yeah,
great.
that's very kind. So Tracy, what I wanted to share with everybody is that you teach a group program, and I wanted you to first share a bit with us about how do you work with a group and how many students, and what's your process, so I can understand, because we all think of working on our voice as an individual thing, but
Yeah.
I want to add one other element. I've taken something called landmark training. I don't know if you're
Yeah.
familiar with it.
Very,
And
very familiar.
I know that so much of what we learn, because I believe in the principle that we are all one, that when there's someone else up on the mic going through an experience, I'm going, oh my God, I can relate to this and to that part of it. And like, I learn just by being present when others. So can you sort of explain to us a bit about that
Yeah.
experience and tell us about your program and
Sure.
sure.
Yeah. I do work with people privately, with two ways, privately and then in this group. And this is a group that I created this past year. And I myself had been playing around with groups because that is the first impression for everyone. Ooh, I don't want to, I don't know. People are so fragile sometimes about their voice. It's the utmost place of vulnerability because it is the
Exactly.
utmost place of judgment. So I get it. And I couldn't quite figure out how to make it work the way I wanted it to work. And I rolled it out at the beginning of the year. I said to the last round was all women. And I said, I literally think the group is almost more powerful than my teaching because you're
Mm,
in this incredibly safe cocoon of people who get it. And I create, my number one rule is safe environment. Nobody's tearing anybody down. I don't
yeah.
roll that way. Even I, who cut straight to the chase and don't pussyfoot around about what we need to fix, it's super safe. And the way my groups have supported each other and cheered each other on it literally brings tears to my eyes. They have built businesses together. They have gone on to be lifelong friends. And so it's a small group. It's not, you get in some of these groups, it's 37 people. No, it's like 6 people. So it's very small, it's very intimate, and while it is a curriculum, it's called Voices of Success. And that's what my
Mhm.
goal is to give you a voice of success, whatever your next level of success is. But it's about confidence, how to speak with confidence, how to captivate the room, how to be compelling, rolling all this stuff in. But I keep it small so that I can teach to the individual within
Mhm.
the group. Like I was talking about, we may be working on tapping into passion today, but what's going to get you there may not get him there. And so I can run everybody through the different techniques and we all get the same result. So it's an 8-week course. I work with everybody once a week. And I am such the rebel about everything. I don't say the meeting's at Tuesday at 3. I enroll the course and I ask everybody for their days and times. I have people all over the world. We always find a time that works
Mhm.
for everybody. So we meet for an hour and a half each week. And then we also have a Facebook group where there's assignments that you can do and get even more feedback. I love this, but what about this? So I continue the coaching. And that's the group. That is the group. There's also you get a free private one-on-one session with me, and then you get custom. You're getting custom homework. We're working through that, and I'm saying, okay, this is what you have to work on. This is what you have to work on. So it's an amazing experience. It's been such a joy, and I'm going to roll out one more, and then I'm going
Mhm.
to reformulate it for next year. I think I might make it a little bit longer. I'm not exactly sure, but this I think is the last one at 8 weeks. But
Mhm.
it's a great immersion, and people just the way the stories, the way the lives are changed, and the way the camaraderie in it. It's just I just love it. If you can't tell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of the reason I wanted to have you on here, Tracy, was also because I'm going to be enjoying to learn in the course
Yes.
it starts next week, just to let everybody know. And Tracy is going to share an offer with everyone here today. And I'm really looking forward to it because I want to take my delivery to the next level and have the confidence and be able to execute and produce course material and other stuff that I want to do, and be able to get at a higher volume of production, because I think this perfectionist attitude and some of the things that sort of like hold me back, if I can, transcend those challenges, it'll be just great for me to have better productivity and a great product. So that I'm really looking forward to that, and being vulnerable.
Yeah. And it's not, don't let that scare you. It's so much just perception. There's so many things that people come to me afraid of and holding really tight to. And it's a process. I don't throw it
Yeah.
all at you at the same day. It's just a process. And I get you a lot of proof really quickly, and it gets really exciting.
Oh, that's very cool.
It gets
So
really exciting.
can you, and if anybody's interested, I'm going to share. I have a special link with them in support of Tracy's offer here. They just need to hit me up in Messenger and Facebook at just my name, Gord Isman, or if they want to share it in YouTube, that's up to them. But it's easier to direct message me, and I'll put the link also inside the video, in the video description. So I want to share that with everyone, and if anyone joins, that'll be great to see you there next week. And I'm really excited. And can you leave us with Tracy? Well, in addition to telling us where people can find you, what would be like one, we're going to say, sort of challenge and tip to overcome that you see from the YouTubers that you help? Like, what is the most common challenge that they have that you're able to help them with?
The first thing that came into my mind is stop talking at me, talk to me. Imagine that you're having who are you talking to? You've got thousands of viewers, but I need you to pick that one. And her name is Shirley. And she's got blonde hair, and we've been best friends for 17 years. And Shirley, I have to tell you about this, because what that will do to your voice, it will stop you from talking at me. But there's a lot of things, like we dive into the course, push elements and pull elements. And when you can connect with me, when you can talk to Shirley or Bill or Joe or whoever it is, that connection is there. You're no longer talking at me and repelling me and pushing me. It's not that you're repelling me, but there's easy ways in your voice to connect and bring us closer. And that's just one simple thing that they can do.
Yeah, I think that's very powerful, because now that I hear what you're saying here at the end in conclusion as a interesting challenge, you mentioned that also earlier. I think that may be something that I'm suffering from when I do my intros and outros, because that's like I'm pushing it. I'm like talking at them. I do feel that there's a sense of that, but I don't know how to consciously what it means to stop talking at them. You know what I mean? That's what I'm hoping to learn, is how to get out of these. Yeah.
You're going to learn. I can't wait. You're going to learn so much. So I'm really excited to work with you. Really looking forward to it.
It's going to be so much fun. And thank you so much. Beth helped clarify for me. Being called Bob Ross is an epic compliment. There is such an endearing fondness in our hearts when we think about him and you. Oh, thank you, Beth. Simply Beth. That's so nice. Yeah. I it's funny. I'm only mentioning it because it's not once. It's about, at least half a dozen times random people have said that about their experience of looking at my tutorials. And I would have never known, but it has something I know to do with my voice too. It's very soothing and calming to people. And ironically, before I started into YouTube, my initial goals and interests were, because people said I have a great voice to do stuff in voiceover, and I was starting to pursue that and train teach myself, but I was also producing some people that were doing voiceover work. And
Oh,
then I still have that passion deep down, and I'm hoping, you know, that maybe next week, that would be interesting to know. Like, do you actually teach people differently who perform in voiceover? There's voice acting. It's all part of the same domain of things, right?
yeah. Well, and I do work with quite a few voiceover artists, and I was one myself. I put books
Mm,
on tape for years,
nice.
and I used to teach more of the typical voiceover method, which
Mm,
is, I was classically BBC trained voiceover method. But then when I started shifting people into more of the psychology of the voice method, they started booking more.
oh, wow. Awesome.
So I do a little bit of both, you
Well, this
know.
is how the voice can translate into better earnings, as you're saying, in success.
Listen, I'm telling you what, my people triple their income. It's amazing. And it's because we're determining trust. Trust science is proven. Trust is built in the melody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much about the voice. It's our fingerprint, it's the way we discern everything about people. Just I get a little excited about it, Gord. Sorry.
Yeah. That's all good. Well, there's Dan Norton in here, and he's somebody, Tracy, I just want to share with you. He did it last week at Vid Summit. There was something called In Real Life, a 5-day, 24-hour a day broadcast on YouTube. And
Wow.
he was handed the helm, and he managed over 20 plus hours in a couple of days. And I saw this guy transform, and it was just remarkable. And I'm sure, I interviewed him, and there was a great interview on my channel with Dan, and how he just evolved with his voice and his whole presence and being in the moment. And it's truly amazing how you can see voice transform people so much. And his energy went from almost like you could see not an apprehension, but like, I'm in this, and I got a lot of time to fill, and he was doing a
Yeah.
great job. But then something kicked in again in the second day that just put him to a
Yeah.
whole other level of confidence and presence, and it was fantastic to see. So I'm just saying kudos to Dan for
Yeah, for
doing that.
sure.
And
That's exciting.
yeah, and that was great. So thank you so much, Tracy, and everyone that joined us here in chat, sharing your words and being with us this evening. And I'm so happy that we had this conversation today, Tracy, to share some great stuff. I think a lot of people, if they didn't get a chance to see it live, seeing it on replay will bring a lot of value to them and help them to think about how important it is to develop their voice for success. And I look forward to the program next week. And anybody, please go check out the links that I provide for Tracy. She also does a podcast. It's weekly, right?
It
You've
is.
got
It is weekly.
you've got about 150 plus episodes now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Captivate the Room is
Yeah.
the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Love it.
just, any one I pick up and listen to, I go, wow, I just learned so much there and so
Oh,
much in each
good.
one. And I think it's very valuable. And I think you people can find it on iTunes and through Google Play.
Yeah.
And it's also on Podbean, right? Is that what you
It's
were
on
telling me?
Podbean,
Yeah.
and you can just even go to my website and listen to it, captivatetheroom.com. So you can listen to it anywhere.
Yeah.
And I love the podcast. Love working with podcasters
Yeah.
too. I really
Yeah.
really enjoy them.
Actually, Brad mentioned that I forgot to talk about the offer for the cost for the course and that in the details. So
Oh,
can you share that with us for everyone to know?
well, I'm going to give your audience a special. I'm going to give your audience $100 off. The course is a great price to begin with. I think it's $795, but I want to give your people $100 off.
Oh,
So
that's
got
awesome.
a special link for that. I make sure you have that, and they can go to that link, and then they'll just pay $695 for
Oh,
the
that's
8 week.
great.
How's that sound?
Right.
Does that sound good?
So that sounds awesome. And remember, everybody, it's like an 8-week course, and you
Yeah,
get some private time with Tracy. Plus,
yeah,
we learn all kinds of techniques and different things, and participate in a group engagement and getting feedback and developing. Voice. Nailing down voice quality will just up everything that we do, because we're out here selling every day, and it's through this, our
yeah.
voice. And so
I
yeah.
I think it'll blow your minds. I think that's just what I keep seeing time and time and time again. People aren't really necessarily going around thinking about their voice in such a powerful, that it is such a powerful instrument.
Yeah.
And we could change all that. So hope to see some of your audience in there with
Yeah,
you.
that
That'd be
would be
fun,
great.
right?
Absolutely. I'll be vulnerable with them. So that would be
Yeah.
really cool, because I'm now starting to embrace vulnerability a lot more and letting go of the judgment thing, because, if they can't like me for how I am naturally, we're sitting there with masks on. I'm not saying that's how I operate, but the fears cause us to not be ourselves
Right.
all the time. And so I'm looking forward to it, because I know getting command of the voice and being able to sit there and execute what I do with the confidence, and being able to let go of whatever I may build up in my brain is going to
Yeah.
be very liberating and exciting.
Game changer.
Yeah.
Game
So
changer.
thank you again, Tracy, and thank you everyone, and we'll see you soon in another live interview.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks, Tracy.